Welcome back to the channel. Just having a little bit of a nice countryside walk. I thought I'd make a little video about some of the snakes we've bred this year, 2020, and it's August right now. And here's a look at some of the stuff that's available. A little look at the website that I put together for my collection of snakes and the stuff that's available, and some of the stuff that's not ready yet, but we'll talk you through those. So obviously nothing's available until it's established and feeding and looking good and just settled into life really, and other stuff coming along. Black-headed pythons are a good example. It takes a little bit of work to get those guys feeding on the normal frozen and then thawed rodent diet that we feed our snakes mostly in captivity. They're reptile eaters in the wild mostly, so a bit of work going on there. And this year's black-headed pythons, they're all sold as soon as they've already got buyers, if you like, and new homes to go to. But I'll talk you through some of the stuff. Some of it's very pretty, some of it's unusual. All of it I absolutely adore. Seeing these things hatching out after 2, 3 or even 4 months wait in some cases. Little stunning miniature snakes, absolutely fantastic. The thrill of breeding snakes and sometimes the difficulty and the challenge, and when you see them pipping and hatching out healthy babies, it really does enhance snake keeping. And of course the conservation aspect of breeding snakes in captivity is vast. When I started keeping snakes a long time ago, all the reptiles and amphibians we kept, pretty much they were all taken from the wild. We really don't need to do that anymore. However, there are implications to banning wild take, so it's always good to have both options. Stopping animals from being imported from the wild can actually lead to their demise in the wild. That's a story for another video, but it's certainly a true fact for sure. But captive bred snakes, easy going, parasite free, feeding well, a different world from the old wild caught stuff we used to keep. Enjoy the video. So first up, let's have a look at these Pueblo milk snakes. I've been breeding these now for a few years. They are a joy to breed because when those eggs hatch, you do get such a variety of offspring. Some are high red, really wide red bands. Some are quite high black and very dark bands and very little red. Some are apricot, some are normal. They're a joy to keep. They hatch from eggs, they shed their skin after a few days, as snakes do, and then pretty much 99.9% of them eat their first meal, no hitches at all. They grow quickly if they're fed well, and they're just so easy to keep. They'll thrive in many different kinds of setups. They're inexpensive. They're stunningly beautiful for someone that's a snake hobbyist, or you just want a nice pet snake, or even someone that likes breeding snakes because of that sort of endless form and colour that they produce. So Pueblo milk snakes here, they're thriving. They're on the website. Have a look at those. But again, an easy to keep, hardy, really stunningly beautifully coloured snake. Highly recommend those. Well, there's no way this video will be complete without my false water cobras. The second species of snake I ever tried to breed, grass snakes being the first. I love them, fascinate me every time they breed. Seeing those young, because you've got the normals, you've got the higher blacks, the darker varieties, you've got the occasionally a pure true hypo with no black pigment at all, and then you get what people call the hypos in the UK, the pale phase ones, which sort of remain quite yellowish throughout their life. Seeing them all hatch out is beautiful. I will say these hypos change, so I think they look better as hatchlings. These ones we call hypos, they look better as hatchlings. They darken down a little bit as they age, but always beautiful. False water cobras, if you want a big colubrid, your first big colubrid, you want something with a little bit of intelligence as snakes go. They're not intelligent, but false water cobras and indigo snakes, they've got something about them. Highly active. These things are out in the day, they're diurnal, they've got a fast metabolism, and they need to eat small meals little and often. So these snakes, as a display snake, they're actually snakes you see out and about. Don't be put off by their cobra-like hooding. Don't be put off by the fact they're rear-fanged venomous. These things are mega handleable, intelligent for snakes, pet snakes. I cannot vouch for false water cobras enough. If you like your snakes big, and we're talking colubrids, not the pythons and boas, you definitely need a false water cobra in your life for sure, of any colour variety. Okay, something a bit different. Vietnamese blue beauty snakes having a massive cult resurgence at the moment, the beauty snake family. Oh, they're just gorgeous. I'll drop in a couple of pictures of the adults, but the mums are blue, the blue of the blue beauty snakes, and the dads are the greener sort of variety. They're absolutely stunning. Now these things can get way over 10 feet long. And that sounds massive, but they're not, because they're a slender arboreal tree living snake. They fit into a shoebox. Their hide boxes are the size of a shoebox, and they'll curl up in there, and they love it. So they are a huge snake. They don't need maybe the huge environment that you think they might. Just when I say 10 feet, that sounds ginormous. You can pick them up in one hand. Oh, really nice snakes. I bred them last year, had some beautiful hatchlings. Really struggled to get them feeding properly, which isn't like the species. They just weren't quite right. This year, these hatchlings here, I'm hoping for better. I think they're going to be better. The mum's a year older. We shall see. Not many available, and by the time you see this, they're probably all sold, but it's always worth checking the website because it keeps you up to date on what's available. I'm looking forward to getting these guys settled and established, and that'll be my first success with the species if they do. Well, you can't breed big colubrids without breeding bull snakes, can you? All the rage in the States. They breed a huge variety. Now, my partner in crime, Mark, he breeds Kingsfield red bull snakes, and he's going to move on his pair. So this year, if you see this in time, look on the website. He might have some lovely red bull snakes available. It'll be the last time he breeds them. I'll continue with the normals, just the normal lovely bull snakes, because here in the UK, bull snakes just died out. Very few people working with them compared to the States. Don't miss out on a chance to get bull snakes in your life. They grow. My male's over 7 feet long. He's a monster. He goes to schools regularly. Huffy and puffy, yes they are. Gentle giants, absolutely. As babies, very hissy, mouth open, striking. It's all bluff and posture. They're terrified they're going to be eaten. Bull snakes are diurnal snakes, full of character. Brilliant snakes. Second year I've bred them. Really pleased to see those babies again. Strangely, last year I had 4 or 5 hypos, really yellow golden colour. This year, pretty much all normals. Stunning, they still are. While we're on the king snake theme, check out these Brooks king snakes. Absolutely gorgeous. A bit of variety in the bunch. I've only bred a few this year. It's the first breeding from my pair of Brooks king snakes. Like all of these guys, tough as old boots, easy to keep in a variety of setups, quite sparse and rack systems, shall we say, or really naturalistic setups. They do not care. They will thrive and they will grow. Quite feisty snakes, definitely one that you need to handle a little bit if you're a bit nervous of snakes. If not, their hissing and puffing will probably make you nervous, as some snake keepers are. They're no problem. Tiny teeth like these things have, and they soon calm down with regular handling. Brooks king snakes, really proud to breed them this year. Again, on the website, check them out. But really pretty little snakes, and who doesn't want more king snakes in their life? They are a cracking bunch of snakes indeed. Okay, so most of these look very similar to the Pueblans, and that's because genetically they're 50% Pueblan milk snake. They're actually tri-bred king snakes. Now, these are something, I don't know, I'm not overly keen on hybrids. Some people love them, they collect nothing but hybrids and they make them because of the again, the endless form of colours and markings that you can produce when you hybridize snakes. Of course, you get the hybrid vigor, so they eat well, they grow well, they're very hardy. The downside is with some of these hybrids, I've got one that looks very much like a Californian king snake. They are, part of their makeup is Californian king snakes, and that's fine, but it does look like a Cali king. Some look very much like ordinary Pueblans, really, a little bit of variety and a little bit different, but it's easy for these hybrids to get into the gene pool if they look like purebred species and be bred from as purebred or be sold from as purebred species. So I think the key rule with hybrid snakes, or any hybrid species, birds of prey, anything, is to make sure they're always known what they are. Even if they look like a pure species, they're always labelled correctly and they're always sold on and passed on as the hybrids they are. So we don't pollute the gene pool of captive bred species, pure species, but they certainly are beautiful little snakes. Interesting to breed. It's the first time I've bred hybrids. I've got one beauty which I'll show you, which yeah, I'm going to keep that just because, again, the beauty of hybrids, you get weird and wonderful looking things. Check this one out. If it could sing, it'd probably worth more money. Black-headed pythons. I had a lot of advice on breeding these from 2 Australian lads that have bred them for many years. Jason Luke really sort of kept me going all the way from the beginning to the end, and a guy called Troy, who used to be a huge Australian breeder of black-headed pythons, gave me some other tips as well after they'd hatched. So it's all great. The Facebook community, the reptile community, on the whole, everyone just helps everyone, and that's really, really nice. Now we've hatched out 2 viable black-headed pythons. They're both sold. I could have sold many of these. They're both taken. They're still not established feeders. These are reptile eaters in the wild. They're programmed to eat reptiles when they hatch, and it takes a bit of work to swap them onto the normal sort of frozen thawed rodent diet that we tend to feed our captive snakes. So that's happening now. They're very robust. They're doing well. But 9 fertile eggs. 1 didn't make it to full term. All the rest did. A couple didn't hatch that were normals, and the rest were albino black-headed pythons. I've been told recently the resale value of a hatchling from a breeder is £25,000 to £50,000 each for an albino black-headed python. So a slight financial reward if you can breed albino black-headed pythons. The downside is the reason albinos are so highly prized is because genetically no one can seem to hatch them, or if they do hatch, they expire really quickly. So the genetics that give them albinism probably has a DNA sequence there that gives them something else that just makes them not fit for purpose. The downside is I could have had 8 beautiful, healthy black-headed pythons. My luck, most of them are albinos, worth a fortune. But of course they're not worth anything because they didn't hatch. So instead of a lovely clutch of babies, I've only got 2 to work with. But exciting times, working with something new, and something again that's really is quite rarely bred in the UK. Very few people really work with black-headed pythons. So I'm keen to see these guys get to the state. They feed well on their own and they can go to new homes. Black-headed pythons, what an achievement, especially if your mainstay is colubrid snakes and not breeding pythons and boas. Weirdly, first time I've ever bred corn snakes. Usually people's sort of first snake. Just got a couple left of really pretty little things in here. Just a corn snake. I prefer really pretty wild caught colouring type, but you can see where people breed them. Pretty, very pretty different colour morphs, loads of variety. Just as beautiful as they ever were, I guess. Look at that. A pretty little snake. Check out the website, King Snake Colubrids, and on there you can keep abreast really of what I'm producing, what's available, what we're hoping to produce in the future. It's updated quite regularly, so that's definitely the place. If you're in the UK, that's the place to check out what I'm producing if you're looking for really healthy, quality, captive bred colubrids, as well as a couple of other types of snakes in there as well. Black-headed pythons and Brazilian rainbow boas. Other than that, it's all about the weird and wonderful colubrid world for me. If that's your bag, I'll put a link in the description below.